Amother-of-two with a brain condition died 10 days after getting her AstraZeneca Covid vaccine. Kimberley Lockwood, from Rotherham in South Yorkshire, died following a catastrophic brain bleed 10 days after having her jab. The 34-year-old suffered from idiopathic intracranial hypertension, IH, a disorder that causes increased fluid pressure around the brain. Though it remains unclear if the jab contributed to the bleed, her husband said Kimberley had been managing the condition with medication and hospital checkups, but that her symptoms worsened a few days after getting her vaccine. Intracranial hypertension is the medical term for a buildup of pressure in the brain. This can come on suddenly due to a severe head injury or stroke, which is known as acute. Chronic is rare.It does not always have a cause, but can be triggered by a blood clot on the brain, or a brain tumour or infection. Throbbing headache that may be worse in the morning, or when coughing, but relieved when standing. Temporary loss of vision, such as greying out for a few seconds. Cases with no obvious cause are called idiopathic. This is more common in women in their 20s and 30s. Idiopathic has been linked to obesity, chronic kidney disease and lupus. It may also be triggered by hormone problems, an abnormal number of red blood cells and certain drugs, like steroids. This form of the condition is thought to affect 2 in every 100,000 people in the UK, statistics show. Its US prevalence, and that of chronic I, is unclear. Treatment usually involves medication to remove excess fluid from the brain. Shunt surgery may also be required to divert this fluid elsewhere. Left untreated, chronic I can be life-threatening. Idiopathic I also causes vision loss in 1 in every 5 to 20 people if untreated. The family are currently awaiting the results of a post-mortem examination. An inquest is also expected to be held. Mrs. Lockwood's husband Damien, 41, said his wife the vaccine on March the 14th before suffering flu-like symptoms and headaches 2 days later. He said, "On March the 22nd she went to work as normal. But I got a phone call and was told she was getting really bad headaches and her vision was going blurred." Mr. Lockwood said such symptoms were not uncommon in people with IH, and said his wife would require a lumbar puncture, a procedure she'd had multiple times before. But this time Mrs. Lockwood's condition quickly deteriorated, and that night she decided to go to A&E because her symptoms were concerning her. She was taken to hospital by her brother so that her husband could stay at home and look after the couple's 2 children, Jaden, 13, and Jax, 6. But Mrs. Lockwood returned without treatment because she was not able to cope with the long wait alone. Mr. Lockwood said, "They said it was a 2-hour wait, and she also suffered anxiety. It thought that she might be okay as she'd had some sleep, but she phoned me around 7 a.m. to say she had to go back to A&E as she was now vomiting." When Mrs. Lockwood arrived at hospital, a blood test found she had a low platelet count and would require a transfusion of vitamin K. Mrs. Lockwood was also told she would need a lumbar puncture the following day. But on March the 24th, Mr. Lockwood received a phone call to say that he would need to come to the hospital to say goodbye because his wife had suffered a catastrophic bleed on the brain and would not survive. Mr. Lockwood said, "The night before I was telling Jaden that she was just having a lumbar puncture and I said, 'Don't worry, she's had it plenty of times before and she'll be out tomorrow.' And then the next day I had to tell him that she won't be coming home." Mr. Lockwood said he hasn't had a chance to process his wife's death because he had to return to work just days later. Mr. Lockwood said, "I'm self-employed, so if I don't work I don't make money. Some days it's not too bad, and then some days you realize she isn't coming home, which gets you." "It's hit everybody hard, it's unbelievable." Paying tribute to his wife, Mr. Lockwood described her as someone that everybody loved and who would light up a room. Mr. Lockwood said, "We've been together 12 years. I met her in May, and by August we were engaged, because she was just that sort of person that everyone loved." Her main thing was anything for the kids, were really family-oriented, and she loved going away with the family. "We've had quite a few big, family holidays and that was one of the main reasons she wanted the injection, so she could go on family holidays." She loved her music too, and was one of the first and last on the dance floor at parties. She was really fun-loving. An online fundraiser to support Mrs. Lockwood's children has been launched by a family friend.